Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. My name is Emmanuel. I am with the Delaware Developmental Disabilities Council. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss an episode of the Let's Talk About It video series. We are kicking off Developmental Disability Awareness Month. For the month of March, we will be highlighting successes of people with disabilities, which are like no other successes for other people. Today, we are talking about living in the community. So, our title is Living in the Community is Possible. I am joined by Maitri Campbell and Daniese McMullin Powell. Welcome, ladies, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Daniese, you have been here before, so I will welcome you back
Thank you.
today is Maitri's first time, but I'm sure it will not be the last time. Maitri will grace us with her presence on this wonderful show. So, Maitri, we are excited to talk about living in the community. So, before we get into your story about living in the community and living on your own and all of those great things, I want to say congratulations to you because I understand you had we can say, living in the community anniversary. What was it, last week?
Last Friday.
Last Friday, a week ago today.
Yeah.
Uh, so you got to tell us a little bit more about that, but I wanted to be the first to congratulate you before everybody on YouTube starts saying congratulations. So I wanted to be the first to say that. So let's hop right in. Maitri, I understand that you used to live in a place called the Mary Campbell Center.
Yeah.
Um,
I know you wanted to know how I got there. Oh, okay. I used to live in Uncle for 3 years, but I didn't like it there. So I pushed my parents to bring me back to the United States. But of course, I couldn't just live anywhere. So, so they did a research to find their Campbell Center. And that's where I lived for 8 years.
so you lived there. You lived there for 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years, and before that, you lived. You lived.
In, in Hong Kong.
And did you say Hong Kong?
Yep.
It's like, wow, you lived in Hong Kong for. So you lived in Hong Kong, and then you got your parents to move you to the United States.
Yep.
Okay, great, great. So when they moved you to the United States, as you said, you couldn't just live anywhere. So the one of the options at that time was to live in the Mary Campbell Center.
Yeah.
Got it, got it. And you lived there for 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. And we're gonna learn more about the Mary Campbell Center as we have this discussion today. Um, so after living there for 8 years, Maitri, how how did
How
you
did I decide to live on my own?
absolutely how did you move out of the center and why did you decide to move out of the American Center?
First, I decided to move out because I didn't really like it there. It had too many rules and too many. They treat you like your property instead of mi nombre se me queda.
Got it. You didn't like it there because there was too many rules, which I don't like rules either. I hate rules. I hate rules. But you also said that you kind of felt like property. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So finally you said you had enough of that and you were ready to go out into the community and live in the community.
yeah.
Got it. Got it. So that brings me to my next question for you, Denise. Um, I understand that you met Maitri as she was in the Mary Campbell Center.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and how was it decided that you were gonna help Maitri make that transition into the community?
Well, I had been going over to the Mary Campbell Center since, maybe the mid 80s, early to mid 80s, because they had a Girl Scout troop there. And when it came to mind after a while to have a Girl Scout troop there with grown adult women, I thought, that's a little strange. Why am I here? Why are we being Girl Scouts when we can do all these things? And the people in there can do all these things without being a Girl Scout, for gosh sakes. You don't need a badge to make your own decisions, you know? So one of the people in the Girl Scout troop wanted to get out. And I wasn't a professional or anything, but I belonged to an activist group for disability rights. And so I spent 2 years getting that person out. And during the last part of those 2 years, I met Maitri, who was in there. And she came to me one day when she saw us.
I chased you down.
Yep, she chased me down because she saw the day that we were doing a little street theater of moving the other person out. The other person had a power chair, which she was driving, and she also had a manual chair, and we had piled her stuff in it to move it out to my van, to move it to her apartment, because we'd finally gotten her out after 2 years. And so Maitri chased me down and said, she really is moving out, huh? It's not all just a joke or a wish or anything. And yeah. And Maitri asked me, she said, can I move out? And I said, well, I'll tell you what. If you don't go back and forth and change your mind and all of that, and you really want to move out, I will stick by you until you are sitting in your own apartment. How's that? And Maitri decided that was a deal. And so we had to get to work on it. And it was very difficult, seeing I didn't work for anybody, not a Center for Independent Living, nothing, you know. Well, I was with the Center for Independent Living, but it had just started up. And I thought, wait, what are we going to do? Excuse me. So how are we going to do this? I thought, oh my gosh. So we had to get Maitri's paperwork together, and the Mary Campbell Center, the director there, wouldn't give it to her. He said she had a guardian and needed guardian's permission to do everything. And Maitri said she didn't have any guardian that she knew of. And she's an adult. I think you were in your 20s, right, Maitri? Yeah.
Yeah, I was 25.
Yep. So, well, what do we do about this? Maitri says she doesn't have a guardian. The director of the institution says she does, and that Maitri can't make any decisions for herself. So I asked around. So many people, friends of mine, how do you find out? How do you prove whether you have a guardian or not? And they said, well, you get with the Chancery Court. And I'm like, huh? Okay. So I called up the Chancery Court and asked. I said, because they can answer yes or no. Does Maitri Campbell have a guardian? And the answer was not in the state of Delaware. So I said, oh, okay then. So we proceeded with that, and nobody would believe us, and nobody would move on it and work on it. So we got the disabilities law involved to find out, and they wouldn't answer them. So we had a meeting, and the director came in to show the guardianship papers, and what it turned out to be was just a power of attorney. And that was all. And as a lot of people know, or maybe they don't, a power of attorney is a power given by the person themselves and can be revoked at any time. And you can't overrule the person that gives you the power of attorney. And on top of that, it wasn't signed by Maitri. It was signed by her guardian in Maitri's name and witnessed by some neighbors, I guess, of her guardians. But Maitri didn't even know that had happened. So we took away the power of attorney by writing on a piece of paper, I hereby relinquish power of attorney from my guardian, hand it to Maitri, and Maitri did sign that and was witnessed by the attorney that was there and somebody else. And that was the end of any power anybody thought they had over her. And that said it that now we can get to work. Yes, now we can get Maitri's paperwork and all of that. And her identity is now her own and doesn't belong to somebody else.
Wow.
We got hold of DDDS to try and help.
So roughly, as you talk about this whole process, which to me, this sounds like a fantastic movie. And you guys almost banded together. You became the transitional sisters.
Right.
Because you guys banded together, made that solid deal after Maitri chased you down. Uh, as you were doing the great escape for someone else.
And it was mostly Maitri. I mean, her determination was just unbelievable to get out of there. And when I saw that, and I saw that in her, and I saw that power in her face and in her words and in her determination, it's the only thing I wanted to do was to make sure that Maitri was out of the lockup and in her own home. There were other people that helped, like Rita Landgraf. She had a foundation and so contributed some funds to furnish her apartment, help furnish her apartment. Low-income housing tax credit units housing. There was an apartment that we found that had that, and we got a subsidy for her rent from DDDS because the list was so long for a Section 8 voucher or anything like that. We didn't have that. And
don't forget independent passport.
Right.
And you said the independent task force?
Independent passport.
Independent
passport. That's another program that helped me to get furniture.
Okay, so it was a program to help you get more furniture for your apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So between all that and a little bit of help, and then we had to go to Legislative Hall to try and get things changed. Because when they said, when Maitri could get out, what happened was she couldn't get on a waiver, which was the elderly and disabled waiver back then, because she lived in an ICF, intermediate care facility for individuals with developmental disabilities or cognitive disabilities.
Wow.
Words for me to remember. And so she couldn't get on a waiver and get waivered to home and community-based services. Wow. So that was a problem. So we set up a complaint with the Medicaid department, and we held a hearing with the judge and all that. And the bus didn't show up to bring Maitri to the hearing. So
the door didn't work. My door didn't work, so I couldn't get to the hearing.
Right.
So the bus never showed up for you to get to the hearing. Wow. So
Yeah.
how long? So roughly, and I mean like roughly. I know this was a while ago. How long do you think the process took, Maitri? Do you remember like how long it took?
Over 3 years.
Over 3 years. So that was 3 years of hard work, 3 years of dedication, 3 years of a commitment to you moving out on your own.
Yep.
So after 3 years, after 3 years of moving out and doing all of that, how long have you now been living in the community?
17 years.
Woohoo!
17 years.
And people thought I would be back in the facility.
And people thought you would be back in the facility?
Yep.
In a very short time. Yes, over and over, people said, yep, she can't live out in the community. She can't be out there. How can somebody like Maitri live out there? That's where the home and community
And
come in.
they kept saying to me, "Good after that, on the other side."
They said, keep seeing you on.
They keep saying to me, "Good after that, on the other side."
Good luck with that, being on the other side.
No, they kept saying to me, "Grass is not greener on the other side."
The grass is not greener on the other side.
Yeah,
You know,
and I told you it might not be green, but I can make my own decision, and I can eat the food that I want to eat.
Yeah, because the facility has all the fertilizer piled in it, so.
you know what? It might even be greener on the other side because they're not using all the pesticides.
Right.
But I think you like you said, you may not be to them. It may not be greener, but you get to eat what you want, go to bed when you want, wear what you want, and you're in control of your own life. And it's been, to me, it sounds like it's been 17 years of freedom. Making those choices and living on your own and watching TV and watching whatever you want to watch. And I absolutely think that is amazing that not even that you just live in the community, that you were dedicated for a 3 year process. And somebody like Denise who wasn't a social worker or didn't do it because they got paid. She did it based on the commitment that you had and your dedication and your faith and your will for you to do that. And I think that's amazing. So Maitri, now that you've been out for 17 years, and I'm gonna keep saying that this whole video because 17 years is a long time for someone to do something that everybody said, that a lot of people said they couldn't do it. Which
Well, I have to be determined, which I was. I'm always determined for something I want to do. I never give up.
Say it one more time for me.
I'm always determined. If I want to do something, I never give up.
You always knew if you wanted to do something, you never give up.
I'm always determined.
You always determined?
Yeah.
Maitri made a pathway because those things didn't exist. There wasn't a pathway to getting the correct services, the services that sustain you in the community. It just didn't exist. We had to find it. We had to get out a machete and chop through the woods.
Yeah.
To get to that and to figure out what it is that was available and what wasn't available that must become available, because Maitri knew that she was a leader, that she was making that pathway, and that we were together making it easier for the future for somebody in the future to know how to work the system and what they needed to have to get from the institution into the community. And that was a big deal because nobody was willing to give in or to help us or anything until they were convinced. There was very few people. And some of those people were Rita Landgraf and Pat Michael, who worked for DDDS at the time. And when we got a hold of DDDS to give us help, she believed in Maitri and only said, how long do you think we should take to get you out? And so that was a big help when somebody out of their realm of what they're used to doing came around to see that Maitri deserved equality and deserved to live in the community just as everyone else does.
Right, right.
So the people that came into it and the people that Maitri and I convinced that this can happen and this is the way you're going to do it, or you're going to hear from us every single day.
Right. So go ahead, Maitri.
Yeah, and one of those people was Senator Williams back then.
Senator Williams?
Dennis Williams, former cop, and then went in the legislature as a representative, yes.
Wow.
And then I pulled him out of a meeting to talk, so he can talk to us.
You called him out of a meeting so
Yeah.
so he would talk to you guys?
This is pre-Zoom
Yes.
days, so we were out there in the cafeteria in legislative hall in Dover,
Wow.
waiting to see him, and yeah, he did.
Wow, that was some real dedication.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna sit right here. I'm gonna get comfortable, and when you come out of that meeting, I'm gonna be right there waiting to talk to you. So
Yeah,
No,
he was-
no, one of his assistants pulled him out of a meeting to come talk to us.
you said you called him out of the meeting?
One of his assistants pulled
Oh.
him out of a meeting and came to talk to us.
Wow.
and one of his staff people went and got him.
So one of his assistants or one of his legislative aides or whatever they might be back then, went and got him for you to have a conversation. Well, so by then, by the time you were able to chase Denise down, it sounds like you end up pulling a whole group of people with you to complete this process. And I agree with Denise that you didn't only do this for yourself. You made ways for other people. So that is
There's a very important thing that happened along the way. We changed the law. We changed the law because back then you couldn't have services from more than one place. So they said she was getting services from DDDS, so she couldn't get services from aging and adults with physical disabilities, although it's the physical disabilities that needed more support than any intellectual disabilities. And so we changed the law by talking to Brian and Kyle and other people, and we got the law changed that as long as the services that you had to have didn't overlap and be the same thing, that can happen. So that's what made it so that Maitri can have self-directed attendance in her home, and home health aides come in between to give a little more time and get some services from DDES, which are needed, and get services from health and social services, other departments at the same time, like the self-directed ones, and they don't overlap. They're doing different things. And Maitri did that. And the need that Maitri had to live in the community made that happen. So it should be called Maitri's Law.
wow.
Did you make that up?
Maybe we can ask for an amendment. And change. So, Maitri, we've been talking about you living on your own and how you how you rallied up the troops and chased Denise down and made things happen. And I know we briefly talked about community-based services. Is that the services that you use to live on your own?
Uh, e- I use, I use, I eat in the morning and I use my attendance when in between. I
So
have,
you
I have personal attendance that I use in between.
okay? So you use a home health agency, but then you got personal care attendants in between those
Yeah,
times. Got it. So
and she
you
been she been with me for 17 years.
I think she's talking about Vicky, who you might have met earlier. Vicky helped Maitri move and has been her PCA
Personal
care
attendance.
assistant the entire time and is still there.
wait, back up. So the attendant that you have now, which is the young lady I met earlier,
Yeah,
um, she's been with you since you moved out. Come to
yeah.
me.
Before, even before I moved out.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, you see,
So
there's a little thing in there. You see, Maitri had her apartment and already, and the Mary Campbell Center wouldn't let her go, and neither would the Department of Health and Social Services. So Maitri would have to take paratransit over and sit in her apartment during the daytime, then return to the institution at night to sleep. So that took a little bit of doing to get that done so that she could actually move out and be a citizen of Delaware that was
wow.
Yep.
independent of the institution. And Vicky helped her during that time and was her attendant when she was in her apartment and helped her move her stuff and get things ready. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. So Maitri and Denise, I got one more question for you. Before we close out today. Maitri, I'll start with you. If you met someone who lived in a nursing home or somewhere like the Mary Campbell Center, and they wanted to move out, but they were not sure if they could do it, what would you say to them?
I would say they have to have the strength to be able to talk for themselves, to stick to stick to them. They have to be determination. Because without determination, there's no way you can do you can do it.
So
And you have to speak up for yourself. Don't don't let anybody speak up for you.
I love it. So you would tell them they had to have determination, and without determination, they wouldn't be able to do it, and they got to be willing to speak up for themselves.
Yeah,
So you would basically give them a kick in the pants.
yeah.
Got it. Denise, for you, if you met somebody, what would you say to them?
I would like to say to them that this is idealistic now. Like, oh, no problem. Okay, let me call you next week and we'll set it all up. I would like to be able to do that, and you still can't. You still can't. It still takes jumping through hoops
Yep.
and begging and all that stuff that shouldn't be. It should be our civil right to live in the community, and that an institution would only be there in emergency situations, temporary, and something like that, and something that you can easily get out of. But we should have the civil right to live in the community Although we do have a civil right, do you know that? To go into an institution if you're Medicaid eligible, but you don't have a right to get community services. You have to arrange for that and beg for that and plead for that. And it's different in different states. It should be easier. It should be commonplace that if you're sent to an institution, first, that you shouldn't be sent to the institution. You should be having your services in your own home and community. And next, that if you do end up in an institution because somebody arranges to put you there, that it should be easier to get out than it was to take 3 years for Maitri and 2 years for the person before her that I was assisting.
Wow, wow. So
But it's
again,
highly possible, absolutely possible.
wow, I love the way you ended with that. It is possible, and that's that's what we're talking about. Living in the community is possible. Even though you may need
Mhm.
services, you may need some support, you may need somebody to stick by you for 17 years or more, which Mikey, you have done that. Uh, but when you think about it, we all need some support. From our watches to our cell phones to our glasses to our family to our spouses. And as someone that has done this as well and been living in my own on my own since I was 19. Of course, later on in life, I got married and now I share a home with somebody. But when I first moved out, I was that one, and it was funny that you shared that because it was I was that one that would leave my mom's house in the morning and go sit in my apartment, and she didn't know I got the apartment till it was 6 months afterwards. um,
No,
uh,
I would I would come here like you're sitting.
and just sit there. Wow, wow,
Yeah.
And that's the same apartment. She's been living in that apartment right there for that long.
wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Well, Maitri and Denise, thank you so much for your time. Maitri, congratulations again to you for making such a transition and wanting to live life. I'm not even gonna make it seem like it was this miraculous thing because all you wanted to do was live your life. And you done that. You done that. So congratulations to you. Please let your personal attendant know that I totally wish we could clone her and make more of her. Because that is real dedication there. So congratulations to you. Again, thank you for coming on today. And Denise, thank you again for coming on the show. But basically banding together with Maitri and causing some good trouble. Good trouble.
Always good trouble. Thank you, Emmanuel, for having us on. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure I'll see you guys again. As a reminder, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to join me for the month of March as we highlight Developmental Disability Awareness Month. Until next time, be safe and don't forget to wash your hands. Bye bye.